is the fact that the Alabama Crimson Tide got into the college football playoff over the Florida State Seminoles. Alabama won their conference championship game, the SEC championship game, by a final score of 27-24 over, the number one team in America and a team on a 29-game win streak in Georgia, who happened to be the back-to-back national champions. Florida State, on the other hand, beat Louisville, who lost to Kentucky, by the way, 16-6 in the ACC championship game. And needless to say, there's been a lot of outrage because of the fact that Florida State was undefeated, because of the fact that Florida State was undefeated in a Power 5 conference. Meanwhile, Alabama 12-1 as a Tennessee guy, an admittedly down year in the SEC. Pac-12 was far and away not even close to the best conference in college football this year. Big Ten, because of the dominance of Michigan and how good Ohio State was, you could maybe argue was second. SEC, a comfortable spot in third. I would certainly put it ahead of the Big 12, and dang sure I'd put it ahead of the ACC. But there's a lot of outrage. I mean, I saw Florida State's athletic director, I think it was the athletic director, say that by putting Alabama in over Florida State, the College Football Playoff Committee has shamed college football. Oh, give me a break. For the first time since the playoff was instituted in 2014, I can honest to God say that after championship weekend, after the totality of the season, I 100% agree 1-4. I don't even disagree with the ranking. Like sometimes I think this team's better than this team. 1-4, 1000% agree. And there's 5 reasons why I think Alabama is and should be in over Florida State. Let's look at number 1. First of all, Alabama's strength of schedule beats Florida State's by a mile, and it's not even close. Okay? Alabama had the number 5 ranked strength of schedule in all of college football. Florida State's was 55th. Because in large part, they played in the worst Power 5 conference by a mile in the ACC. Florida State's key wins. LSU, solid. It's a good win. I'll give you props where it's due. Way back in week 1, Jordan Travis was healthy. They knocked off Clemson on the road. Clemson, who's ranked 22nd, got real hot at the end of the year. Boy, that's big year for Clemson, right? Given their history. 8-4. Wow, I'm impressed. And then finally in the conference title game, they knocked off Louisville. You say, oh, Louisville, double-digit wins. And Louisville lost to a team that finished in the middle of their division. Forget conference, division. The SEC East, Kentucky, who went into Louisville and beat them straight up. And Florida State beat that team, offensively challenged, to say the very least, 16-6. Meanwhile, Alabama also beat LSU, although admittedly, this doesn't mean admittedly, this is just the facts, not by as much as Florida State, but they knocked off Ole Miss. Where's Ole Miss ranked today? Oh, look at the Ole Miss Rebels right there. Ole Miss is ranked at number 11. They beat LSU, as I just mentioned, ranked number 13. They even beat my Tennessee Volunteers, ranked 21st in the nation. And let's see, who was that team they beat on Saturday? Oh, yeah, number 1. The best team in America all season long until Selection Sunday, the Georgia Bulldogs, who just so happened to win 29 straight games and the last 2 national championships. And Alabama went into what might as well have been a glorified road game in Atlanta, SEC title game, and physically dominated them. That was a 10-point game with just a few minutes left. The score is not indicative of how well Alabama played. Second reason Alabama is in and should be in over Florida State. Number 2, Florida State is on a 3rd-string quarterback, of which the committee takes into it's under their rules, it's under their bylaws in terms of what they look at when it comes to them voting a team in or out of the college football playoff. Jordan Travis, and this freaking sucks. Hate it for the kid. He's a really good kid, mature kid. Was playing so well this season. I actually liked him kind of as an NFL prospect before he went down. But he went down second of the last week of the season for Florida State. That hurts. And Florida State fans say, wait a minute, Bryson. So we go undefeated, okay, and we lose our starting quarterback. But we went undefeated and won our conference title game. Didn't Ohio State in the very first year of the playoff? Didn't the Ohio State Buckeyes have a kid by the name of Cardale Jones, who was their 3rd-string quarterback in, and make the college football playoff after winning their conference title game? Didn't they get in? What? Glad you asked. Glad you asked the question, because the answer is yes, they did. They got in as the number 4 team. Here's the difference. Florida State won their conference title game 16-6. Ohio State, with their 3rd-string quarterback, won 59-0. And of course, Ohio State validated what the committee thought by going on to win it all, by beating Alabama and beating Oregon. That's when Ezekiel Elliott went on that crazy, one-man run. It was running for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns a game. It was ridiculous what that guy was doing. So yes, them being on a third-string quarterback, that matters. If you want to check what Florida State did against their last 2 opponents, okay? Forget unranked Florida. Non-bowl eligible Florida. Let's see what the Seminoles did. Let's just, because I'm hearing, Florida State, they're one of the 4 best teams. They played Florida 1-9. Florida State did not make a bowl game, mind you. And the Florida State Seminoles put up 224 yards of offense. And then against Louisville, they scored 16 points. And their quarterback threw for 55 yards. Yeah, that matters. Having a third-string quarterback, having key players out, which the committee very clearly detailed. If you weren't aware about that, Florida State fans or Florida State defenders, that's on you. Committee's always had this. Third reason Bama got in over Florida State. Alabama clearly has a legitimate shot at a title. You know what? Don't take my word for it. What do I know? I'm just some podcaster. Take the team that they're going to be playing in a few weeks' time in the semifinal game in the Rose Bowl. Number 1, Michigan. By the way, Michigan, best team in America, start to finish, number 1. And here was Michigan's reaction when they heard they were not playing Florida State. They were playing Alabama. Here's what Michigan thought.
Who's number 4?
You could just feel the air taken out of the room. That's not to say Bama's going to win, but let's check the odds, shall we? The Michigan Wolverines are favored against Alabama, as you would might imagine, 1 versus 4 by 1.5. Yeah, Bama's got a shot. The beauty is this is one of those rare playoffs. I think all 4 teams have a legitimate shot to win it all. I think Michigan's the best team. Michigan was my preseason pick to win it all. Washington can win it all with the quarterback play and how their defense has been playing as well coached as they are. Same can be said about Texas. What a defense they have. Offensive skill position players loaded. And Alabama, great defense, phenomenal secondary, and a great situational offense with Jalen Milroe, who's simply gotten better since that week 2 loss against Texas. That's number 3. Number 4, the 4th reason Alabama got in over Florida State. Let's look. Florida State's best win is Alabama's 3rd best win. Florida State beat LSU. Oh, Alabama's like, oh, cute. Yeah, that's our 3rd best. Our 2nd best was Ole Miss, who we physically dominated and held a great offense at Ole Miss to 10 points. And our best win, again, as previously mentioned, was against the back-to-back champs, number 1, 29 straight win, Georgia. That, playoff has told us for years, strength of schedule matters, who you beat matters. They've been telling us that for a long time. So if you're shocked that they put in the team with a much better resume, clearly better resume, and it's hard to do much better than beating the best. I mean, it's there's no higher ranking than Georgia to this point until Michigan, of course, took their place because Alabama beat them. That matters as well. And 5th, and I would almost argue most importantly, the 5th reason Bama got in over Florida State, and I'm telling you, Florida State people are going to lose their minds when I say this. 5th reason, Cincinnati in 2021 and TCU in 2022. Yeah, that matters too. You don't think the committee went back? Maybe they didn't look at Cincinnati as much as TCU, but I'm sure it factored where it was Bama was number 1, Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young, and this undefeated, by the way, not even a Power 5 champion, Cincinnati, which to me made it even more outrageous. Undefeated Cincinnati. Yeah, we don't really think they're one of the 4 best teams. We really don't, but I mean, we can't punish an undefeated team, can we? Even though they have literally 1 signature win on the resume, we got to put them in. They lost 27-6 and barely registered 200 yards of offense, and Bama cruised to a win. And even better last year, TCU. And to TCU's credit, they beat Michigan in the semifinal game. Now, Michigan literally imploded, but they beat Michigan. Give credit where credit's due. Then they faced Georgia, and they lost by nearly 60. That, to me, That TCU loss to Georgia. You think college football fans, you think the committee, you think Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit were rooting for that? You think they were everybody outside of Athens, Georgia, and Georgia fans were miserable during the national title game. Especially when you consider the fact that Georgia had just gotten done with a, pardon the pun, so to speak, but a dogfight against number 4 ranked Ohio State, who happened to have this guy by the name of CJ Stroud, barely escaped with the win against the Buckeyes. And the next week, that game was over like 15 minutes in against TCU. That 65-7 blowout by Georgia changed everything. That was the wake-up call that the committee, that I've been beating this table about for a long time, but finally the committee got it through their heads. Let's put the 4 best teams in. Let's make strength of schedule matter. Let's be honest, how you look matter. You don't think Ohio State, who was ranked number 5 in 2014 with a third-string quarterback, and the rules were the same then as they are now. Rules didn't change overnight, according, contrary to what you might hear from Florida State fans and defenders. Ohio State was very aware. We can't only win, we got to win convincingly. And they won 59-0 over ranked Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game. That mattered. Committee put them in. Ohio State won the national championship. Let's be honest, Florida State fans, do you really think, let's be honest, media who's just outraged about this, do you really think Florida State could even physically compete for Michigan for a quarter? Because I don't. Not with a third stringer. Frankly, it would have been dicey even with Jordan Travis. Alabama is clearly better than Florida State. The evidence is there. Our eyeballs are there. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.